Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds!
Hello,
Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds!
Hello, nerds! Nerds for humanity. We're doing a data deep dive, mofos, because we got 1 day left to go. Woo! My God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh, we're going to say goodbye to the orange man. He bad. That orange man is bad. But the question is, are we going to get change or not? Well, I'm gonna break it down for you, bros. We're gonna look at the latest polls. We're gonna compare polls to 2016. Jason, you're curious about California propositions. Yeah, maybe if we have time at the end, we'll hit that. Hit me up in the live chat at the end if we get to it. Then we're also going to look at which states they need to win for this thing to be done finally. Then we're going to look at gambling betting odds. And then if time permits, I can also go over some latest COVID stats, because I know that's obviously something that's affecting all of us. Marion wants to know, where's Peter? No, Peter ain't here. Peter actually might be visiting me here in California in a few weeks, which will be really interesting, because if Trump is no longer president-elect for the next term, I'm not sure how Peter's going to handle that. And if Trump is president-elect for the next term, then I don't know how I'm going to handle it. And if we have no known outcome, well, then I guess we'll just keep arguing with each other, and Peter will keep complaining about Antifa and losing all of our suburbs, which that's what he likes to talk about, man. Oh, and Hunter Biden's laptop. So, all right. Oh, Jekyll Lego is asking me, am I going to show you my 270 to win? I actually didn't put one together, but we will look at the crucial swing states, and we'll just look at the data. I'm not going to make any predictions. I have actually many months ago on Nerdstradamus, basically on my Twitter account. If you look at my hashtag Nerdstradamus, I did predict that Biden would win. And let me see if I can find that. Twitter advanced search. And we'll say looking for from Nerds for Yang, mentioning the words Nerdstradamus. Looks like I was predicting. Oh, I have a lot of predictions. Maybe at the very end, I can go over all of my predictions. Nerdstradamus was busy the last few months. All right. By the way, let me know where you guys are calling in from. I am connecting to you from the great state of California, and in the Northern California, in the San Francisco Bay Area, the home of Nancy Pelosi, who, I respect her. I'm kind of ready for fresher perspectives, but she's no joke, and she's a smart lady. Let's see. Yeah, Harkins Aquatics. 1 day, 2 hours, 21 minutes. I know, man. Vegas, baby, Vegas. All right, we're gonna. Oh, Jason is in the Bay Area. That's why you're asking about the Cal propositions. Jekalego, Massachusetts. You know, I used to live in Boston, had many years there, and went to school north of Massachusetts in the great state of Maine, which used to be part of Massachusetts. Ethan, in a very kind of crucial state that's actually kind of in play. Then we got engaging life moments where they are voting. Like, you got to give Texas credit. They are voting like their lives depend on it. Respect to Texas. Total respect. All right. So shall we go? We got Emeryville in the house. Phone banking for a Humanity Forward candidate. Always nice. Nicely done, Harkins. Engaging Life's Moments wants to get rid of Nancy. You know, Nancy may, I think if Biden wins and we do a nice sweep, I think Nancy will want to be speaker to get a bunch of stuff done. But I would imagine that she and Biden would probably call it quits, you know, before the 2024 term is over. But that's just my guess. All right, let's see. Have I seen the Turnout Heat Map? I haven't seen the heat map, but go ahead and put it in the link and maybe we'll share it. Put it in the chat, Jason, and I can try and share it out. And let me see. Election Turnout Heat Map. Oh, is that one in the New York Times? Well, that wasn't of the 2016. That's not the one you want. Well, give me a link, and I can try to pull it up. But yeah, certainly, maybe it's in the heat map of voter turnout. These are all 2020. Clearly, this is a live stream because I'm just like doing research while I'm talking to you guys. I'll look out for it in the chat. All right, is there an official nerd prediction? Yeah, it's going to be a Biden win. Dems are going to take the Senate, hold the House. But unfortunately, it's not going to be a clean, quick win. It's going to be a bit of a drawn-out win because old Donald is already saying that he's going to challenge the Pennsylvania and Nevada results. It's always interesting when someone is challenging the results before they've come in, before the polls are closed. But that's what he said he's going to do. Oh, Jason can't paste links here. Ha. Well, Jason, put in the chat what I should search for in Google, and then I'll just do that later. All right, here we go. You guys ready to look at some polls? Wow, good turnout. By the way, as you are enjoying this conversation, go ahead and give me a like just because, and share as you're seeing information that is useful. All right, let's start with the latest polls right up to the minute on election eve. God, I can't believe I was just telling someone, by the way, that we started this channel like in March of 2019. And here we are in November of 2020. How far we've come, nerds. Remember that, man? Man. Well, don't worry. This channel will continue because, frankly, the Yang 2024 campaign may actually commence tomorrow as well. Whether Andrew wants to announce it or not, I think we're all ready to get this freaking 2020 campaign behind us. Okay, here we go. Let's look at the latest polling results. All right. Let's go to the top. So here, if you look at a snapshot of polling averages, nationally, you have Biden up by 8. And even if you adjust for how wrong they were in 2016, he'd still be up by 6. And then basically New Hampshire, Wisconsin up by 10. If you want to take a conservative approach and adjust it for the wrongness factor in 16, he'd still be up by 4. Michigan up by 8 or 4. Nevada 6 or 8. Pennsylvania up by 5 or less than 1. Less than 1 would be if the polls are way off. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, the polls shouldn't be as off in this year as they were in 2016, because presumably the pollsters would have made some adjustments, but you never know. And then you've got, oh, hold on one second. Whoops. What happened? Ah, there we go. That's better for you guys. You've got Michigan 8 and 4, Nevada 6-8. Where is Trump leading? He is leading in Texas by 2, or maybe as much as by 4. Iowa by 1, or as much as by 5, if you want to apply that kind of correction factor. And Ohio, it's less than 1 or plus 6. But overall, if you look at most of these kind of close states, certainly you'd rather be Biden right now than Trump, if you believe those polls. Now, you know, polls can be wrong. As we saw, national polls back in 2016 were obviously way off. The state polls were not as far off, but they just didn't do enough of them. So if your MAGA family are telling you, oh, it doesn't matter, these polls don't make a difference. You know, you had Hillary up by 30 points. She was not up by 30 points. She was up by 3 points. And she did win, whether you like her or not, she did win the popular vote by about 3%. So the polls weren't that far off. They were off at the state level. So if, all right, here's an interesting thing. Exploring the Electoral College outcomes. If you only count the states where a candidate leads by 3 or more, you would have a Biden victory, 291. He only needs 270. If the electoral votes were translated perfectly to polling results, then you'd have an even bigger win. But this is where we know that polling doesn't necessarily reflect the way the electoral votes are allocated. So you get a little bit of a Trump. Basically, Biden has to take a little bit of a haircut, but he would still for sure win, even if he only won states where he led by 3 or more. And if the electoral votes are allocated in the way that state polls are as wrong as they were before, you would still have a Biden win. So in multiple scenarios, Biden should be president. Now, the thing is, now here you can see how that has changed over time in terms of trends from September to November. Here's the national lead. Basically, Trump has never been in the national lead since the coronavirus and his leadership performance, whatever word you want to use, during the COVID crisis. In Michigan, you can find some polls where Trump is in the lead. That would be this little, these red dots. But for sure, you'd rather be Biden than Trump in Michigan based on all the blue dots that are showing a Biden advantage. New Hampshire, same thing. Trump has never really been in the lead there. Pennsylvania, look at this. You have some recent polls in late October where you do see a few red dots here where you never saw red dots before. So, you know, maybe old Donald has some tricks up his sleeves. So there you go. That's Pennsylvania. Wisconsin, should not be too close. Should be a Biden win. Florida, okay, now look, you got a bunch of red dots here, meaning Trump polls where he's winning in Florida. And you see a downward trend for Biden. right? Now, guys, this is a crucial state because basically, if Trump loses Florida, it will be really hard for him to win. It's not impossible, but he'll basically have to like run the table with most of the other kind of swing states. But if Trump wins Florida, then we're going to be in for a long week probably. So that's why everybody's focused on Florida. Obviously, Florida also has a lot of electoral votes. So that's Florida for you. Minnesota, not very close. Nebraska, not very close. Nevada, you got a couple of red dots here. So that could be close. Arizona, probably close. Biden's only up by 3. North Carolina, that's going to be a freaking dogfight. You know, this is where you hope that all those transplants from New Jersey and New York and California that moved to North Carolina have introduced some diversity of perspective to North Carolina, but it'll be really, really close. +2, I mean, that's pretty much a coin flip. Georgia, +2, pretty much a coin flip. OHIO, wow, Trump +1. Tejas, Trump +2. But I mean, think about that. The Republican presidential nominee is only up by 2 points in the great state of Texas, which is really not known for their liberal values. I mean, you got to be a real piece of work as a president to only be up 2 points in Texas as a Republican president, you know? So great job, Donald. You are almost losing Texas. Iowa, ooh, another conservative state where he's up by 1 only. Maine, wow, that's really close. Biden's only up by 3. I think those are the key states, or at least my browser's really tired of loading new charts. So, yeah. So anyway, that is a little bit of a recap on some of the polls. I would say the TLDR is you've got Biden ahead nationally in most polls. And let me just give you a brief review of the actual specific most recent polls. Oh, by the way, Mike CK member, night before the stream, night before the election, and all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even an orange mouse. Okay, let me look at some latest polls. We looked at those state things, but these are actual, like, hot off the presses, just finished polls, like just finished on October 31st. So you got basically Biden up. You got Florida, Trump up, but most of these polls are showing Biden. There's a lot of blue, bold plus Bidens, right? Ohio, Texas, but pretty much. And then on the national polls, you've got one that just ended yesterday, 827 likely voters, Biden +8. IBD, 1,000 likely voters, Biden +5. Data for Progress, this is a Democratic pollster, Biden +10. So national polls looking good for Biden, but, you know, like, we know we don't elect our president based on the popular vote. We have our electoral college system, but, you know, if you were waiting for a day where you no longer have Donald Trump as president, you might be very happy in the next few days. So that is the latest polls. Now, some of you may be saying, well, polls, schmoles, Hillary was up in the polls too. You know, you liberal snowflakes. So let me see if I can pull up a comparison of the Biden versus Hillary polling performance. Unfortunately, that website is not loading for me right now. Let me see if I can pull it up again in a different tab. Stand by. We're loading. All right, we'll come back to that one later. But the TLDR on Hillary versus Biden is at this point, a day before, Hillary was up 3 points, and we know Biden's up somewhere between 6 to 10. And Hillary was also up in the swing states by like 1 to 3, and maybe Biden's up in the swing states 3 to 5, 3 to 6. So certainly nobody's saying this thing is in the bag, but we need to acknowledge that the polls, I'll put it this way. If these polls were reversed and Trump was up in the same way that Biden was up, people would be talking about the big Trump red wave or whatever. Now, 538 did a great visualization, which I will show you, of what are the states we need to watch to know what in the Sam Hill is going on. So here's how to read this chart. Basically, the size of the segment of the snake indicates the number of electoral votes. In this case, you got 29 for Florida. And then the darkness of the snake shows how locked in it is for one candidate or another. So as an example, California is a dark blue, very likely to be a strong Biden win. On the other hand, Arkansas is like the California for Republicans. Unfortunately, you see the dark reds, they really don't have a lot of people. So like Oklahoma is also like this, Tulsa might be the San Francisco of MAGA. But unfortunately, there's only 7 electoral votes in Oklahoma versus 55 in California. So if you're Trump, you basically have a lot of very, very small, lightly populated states trying to elect Donald Trump. And then you have a bunch of big old, highly populated states like New York, 29 electoral votes as well. Very strong for Biden. So let's not focus on the big blues. We know they're going to go for Biden, and the little reds, yeah, Wyoming, West Virginia, that's Trump country. Congratulations, Trump. You've got it. You've got Idaho. That's all you, my friend. Now, where are the battles? The battles are in this like lighter color area. Like, again, it's crazy that Texas, by the way, with 38 electoral votes, talk about a big prize. That is a coin flip, 50.2 to 48.9. Ohio, 49.7 to 49.3. Georgia, these are all coin flips. North Carolina, Florida, Arizona. So if you had to kind of focus on a few states tomorrow night, it would be Florida, Pennsylvania. I would be really interested in those two, because if you have 29 and 20, that's freaking 49 electoral votes right there. Out of what you need, 270. So those are the ones to keep in mind. But I think the visualization is cool because you can get a sense of how Trump's support is really spread across a lot of small states, whereas Biden's support seems to be spread across a smaller number of gigantic states. And maybe that kind of aligns with the whole narrative of, you know, the folks that are pro-Trump being really not interested in big states, big cities, any kind of strong central government functioning. So unless it's for the military, but so that's a little bit about the states to watch. Oh, some people, Greg Smoot thinks there's going to be a Trump landslide. Well, Greg, you are now forever recorded in the Nerds for Humanity live stream. And if you are correct in your prediction, I would love to have you back on November 4th. And you can rub my face in it and be like, bro, I told you. And I'll be like, Greg Smoot, you were right. There was a Trump landslide and all these polls were BS. But I will tell you this, the polls were not BS for Andrew Yang, because those polls had Yang distant 5th or 6th. And I think he finished in Iowa a distant 5th or 6th. So that's a little bit about the states to watch. Now, let's talk about, what do the gamblers think? What do the gamblers think? Because you know what? Like, these pollsters, fine, but the people who have money on the line, that's who I want to think about. All right. Well, now I will tell you right up front that the gamblers also thought that Hillary would win. So the gamblers clearly can get it wrong, but let's take a look anyway. So the gamblers, in terms of election betting odds, believe that Joe Biden will be the next president, 60% chance, and Trump has got about a 1 in 3 chance. And the gamblers are going, they think Florida will go Republican, which would be super exciting, because if Florida goes Republican, you know that then Trump will have a path to 270, which will be way harder if he doesn't win Florida. So the gamblers are giving us some entertainment on election night, because, oh shit, they also think that North Carolina will go for Donald Trump by 54% chance. So if Trump wins Florida and North Carolina, suddenly, and Georgia, suddenly, like, you can see he's kind of putting together a nice little story. And as the time zone goes from east to west, what he doesn't pick up is, gamblers think he's going to have Texas too, even though the polls were 50-50. Wow. Dude, the gamblers. Now, if you add up all of the gamblers, they're going to give us a great night. They're going to give us a great week, because the gamblers are picking these big Trump wins: Florida, North Carolina, Tejas, right? Ohio. So if you're a Trump supporter, you're going to have North Carolina. You're going to have a great night. You're going to have a great night. Unfortunately, you need 270. And the gamblers start, basically, the gambling train ends at 248. So essentially, it'll be enough for Trump to feel excited, but not enough for him, if you honor the Constitution, to become president. And Pennsylvania, the gamblers do not think he would pick that up. But oh my God, if he did pick it up and got that 20, then that would be like 268 to 270. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Oh, shoot. The political junkie in me almost hopes that Trump picks up Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, Texas, just so we could have some drama. Of course, the citizen and human on planet Earth would not want that, because if Mofo got 268, you know he would challenge the results of one state, and he would just pick off anything that's kind of like the lightest blue. Like he would pick off maybe Michigan or Wisconsin, or he would find some weird irregularities in Arizona and then pull off the 11 electoral votes from Biden. So that's what the gamblers think. The gamblers think it's going to be Biden, but they're good. They think we're going to have a real good time, that we're going to need to order the extra large popcorn with extra butter, because 248 to 290 is way close. I mean, one state, like we were talking about, Pennsylvania, and that's 270 to 268. Shoot. Oh, God, that would almost, I mean, I don't want that, because I don't want to drag this country through a freaking crazy Supreme Court drama. But that would be kind of exciting as a political junkie. Oh, no. Tom Ford, are you saying? Tom Ford is saying for sure that Trump is going to win Pennsylvania. And I don't blame you. I've seen enough interviews with Pennsylvania voters, especially the Pennsylvanians that live like on the western side of Pennsylvania. They're not like part of like that tri-state, New Jersey, Connecticut, New York kind of northeast vibe. They have a different vibe to them. So yeah, at any rate, that's Pennsylvania for you. And that is the betting odds. Okay, now, oh yeah, Tom's talking about fracking. Yeah, freaking fracking. Who would have thought fracking would be such a kind of crucial issue? But it is. So now let's move on to we'll move on to what the two candidates are tweeting about and seeing what their messaging looks like. And then I think we can go on to the Turnout Heat Map. I wasn't able to find that link. So Jason, if you want to tell me a search term to look for, I'll try and look out for it. But yeah. All right. So here is the Twitter action. Okay, so this is my Twitter account. By the way, follow me at Nerds for Yang if you haven't already. And don't forget to like and share this live stream. Let's look at Donald Trump's Twitter feed. What is our man, the Donald, talking about? Oh, I have a little plugin that indicates when someone's saying weird, crazy shit, like that's considered disinformation. Bot Sentinel. But he says the Supreme Court decision on voting in Pennsylvania is a very dangerous one. It will allow rampant and unchecked cheating. All right, let me see if I can give this without the... Can I turn this Bot Sentinel off? It's going to be too hard for me to find. There's too many plugins. The Supreme Court decision on voting in Pennsylvania is a very dangerous one. It will allow rampant and unchecked cheating. It will undermine our entire system of laws. It will induce violence in the streets. Something must be done. He just said that 9 minutes ago. So he's not happy about the Supreme Court decision on voting in Pennsylvania. Let's see. He has a huge picture of his rallies. He does love those rallies. I mean, and he is able to assemble a pretty big crowd. I think Obama put it best. Like, why does he always talk about his crowd size? It's really kind of like a fixation of his. Thank you, Michigan, with your vote to save America. But is that the interesting thing about Trump is he talks about the country like he's not the president. Oh, by the way, Elizabeth Norris is wearing Nerds merch to vote. Elizabeth, you gotta do a selfie at the polling station with your nerd gear. I would love that. And then I'll for sure retweet it. Just tag me in it. Okay, so that's him talking about his big old crowds. And then what else is he talking about? We will teach our children to love our country, honor our history, and respect our great American flag. And with God's help, defend the right to life, religious liberty. Wow. Basically, this is like the T-bone steak of Trump talking points. Let's read between the lines here. So if you are in Trump country and you read this, you're like, oh yeah, Biden must want to teach our children to hate our country, to erase our history, to burn our flag. Biden probably doesn't believe in God or the right to life or religious liberty and wants to take away my guns. So you can see, like, this is a perfect Trump turnout, activate your base kind of vote. And I've seen this very effectively with even my MAGA friends who, for some reason, are convinced. They're like, oh, Tom, you're a Democrat. You must hate America. And you must hate our history. And I'm like, no. I love America. It's the greatest country in the world. And we have a rich history. But like every country, we have things that have gone well and things that have not. And we have areas that we need to improve. That doesn't mean I hate the country. And then they're like, oh, why do you always want to burn flags? It's like, no. Not that. I don't know where you get this, that every Democrat you meet is somehow some kind of flag burning, history erasing crazy person. Like, that is the Republican image of Democrats. But I will tell you right now, as a registered Democrat in the Democratic governed state of California, a stone's throw from Nancy Pelosi's district, I love America. I love our history. I respect it. I love our flag. I respect people's right to worship whoever they want. It's fine. Now, in terms of right to life, I am pro-choice. So if you hate Democrats because they're pro-choice, well, okay, most Democrats are pro-choice. And I am a gun owner and a registered Democrat. So, but this is basically Trump at his best, trying to frame his enemies, as his political opponents, as these radicals. And the reality is, like, you could say a lot of things about Joe Biden. Bro is not a radical. In fact, that's why a lot of Democrats don't like him. They think that Joe Biden's too freaking moderate and reasonable. Anyway, so that's what Donald's tweeting about. Oh yeah, here's another one. Just 29 minutes ago, Joe Biden viciously attacked Black Americans, calling Black men super predators. To all Black Americans, I'm asking for your vote. This is your one and only chance to show Sleepy Joe what you think of his decision to attack you, jail you, and betray you. This is classic Trump trying to convince Black voters that somehow Joe Biden, the vice president under Barack Obama, the presidential candidate who has selected Kamala Harris as his running mate, is somehow anti-Black, and that Donald Trump is the savior of the Black community. So, you know, maybe people will believe that. Oh, wow. Look, he's pulling out all of them. Then he talks about caravans of refugees from terrorist nations by 700%. You know, he's very clever. It's probably a very small number, so he can't say the exact number of refugee visas, but 700% sounds very high. So kudos to you, Donald, for twisting the statistics, but I hope America's voters will be. Oh, and then he got China. For anybody who's afraid of China or hates the Chinese, then you've got Biden sold out. So basically, Biden, according to Trump, is anti-black, in the pocket of China, wants to burn the flag, take your guns, and send a bunch of terrorists to the suburbs. Basically, that sounds like a very scary outcome. I don't see that happening if Biden were elected, but that's it. So now we could go on, but we don't want to make this an advertisement for Donald Trump's crazy tweets. But let's see what Biden is tweeting about and see if he's talking about what the tone is. So we got Biden, vote for America. Oh, this ad. Oh, this is a very different vibe. So let me see if I can share the audio. I have to admit, some of Biden's ads are pretty good. So let's do this. Let's go here, take a look, and turn the sound on.
There's a new world coming, and it's just around the bend.
It's time for America to get back up.
There's a brand new morning
We can build a more perfect union.
that belongs to you and me.
The days of divisiveness
Yes, a new world
will soon be over.
that belongs to you and me.
Let's get back up.
Yes, a new world.
We're decent, we're brave, we're resilient people.
Coming in peace.
We can't believe again.
Coming in love.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
Not bad. Not bad. The Biden ad makers are pretty good. Basically, the contrast in just tone between the two, like that's the thing I'm looking forward to the most, is how we just won't have a president who's always like trying to demonize the other side all the time. Like you don't see Joe Biden talking about Trump supporters the way that Trump talks about Biden supporters. It's not presidential. Now, certainly Joe is critical of Donald, but he isn't. You don't see Joe saying, "Oh, vote for me because Trump supporters are all crazy racists." He's like, "No, Trump is corrupt. Trump is racist. Trump's worse. He has done a terrible job, and why would we give him another 4 years?" So that's Joe not pulling any punches. Another ad. I won't show you all the ads. Here's another one from Biden. Donald Trump inherited a growing economy from Obama and me. Just like everything else he's inherited in life, he squandered it. All right. So basically, you've got Trump throwing out a lot of red meat, and you have Biden throwing some out as well. Oh, Caleb hooked me up with the super chat. Hold on, Caleb. Let me see. Caleb, I appreciate that. I want you guys to know all of the money goes to promoting this channel. We're trying to grow this channel. I'll tell you a little secret. Trying to grow this channel so that Yang 2024, we're going to have a huge audience and we can build up energy and support and donations for Andrew. But also, if we build up this channel, I can interview more interesting guests, because sometimes I'll reach out to like senators and stuff. And like, I'd love to have Mitt Romney on, but I can't because I'm sure his team looks at the Nerds channel and be like, 15,000 subs, not that big. So any money I get, I basically put into investing in content and promoting the channel. But thank you, Caleb, for the super chat. Let me give you the gong of data. That's the sound of data, baby. All right. So now, let us move on to thanking our channel members. And then I'm going to go into, if you guys are interested, two things: COVID statistics and also Nerdstradamus predictions. That would be me. All right, so let's just do a quick thank you to our channel members because they make this channel possible. They pay for this green screen, these nice lights, the podcast hosting fees, the video editing fees. They pay for the ad that I ran on the Yang Speaks podcast that cost some buku dollar, which I'm still paying back. So, but Mrs. Nerd allowed me to make a loan to the channel. So, okay, let's just do a quick thank you to our channel members. We'll start with our EVP level, Kristen Slevin. Thank you, Kristen, for being a supporter for a very long time. VP level, Laura Lane, Patrick Dunn, Arkansas for Yang, Joshua Frick, Fat Lamb, VLAM, JM Sap. And then we have the hardcore, Robert Wu, Yang Deng, Susan Clifton, Mona Burton, Landline, Mr. History Fan, Byram Hess, Jekalego. I think Jekalego is in the chat. Kirsch, Thiva, Phoenix Congress, DK. Oh, how awesome would that be if that were DK Metcalf? It's probably not DK Metcalf, but it's another DK. Tracy, Mesa, Mrs. Jones, David, Jean Lynn, Mike Chang. And then at the verified level, Bike, James Johnson, Blair Walsingham. I wonder if that's really Blair Walsingham. But if it is, that's amazing. Jessica Locke, Ryan Haywood, Rastafasta, Tony Perella, Von Doramel, Elizabeth Norris. I think Elizabeth's in the chat now. Christina Cheng, Lisa Strawn, Shake and Make, Doris Emmerich, Nell Nieves, Mike CK. I thought I saw Mike in the chat. Gail Machado, Richard Johnson, Roger Green, Ben McLean. Ben I went to school with. Lori Green, Soldier One, Emerald DX, Jedwiga, Sophia, Hitachi, Your Mom, Anne, Peter Knight, Arez, Sugar Sweet, Albert Tom, Brandon David, Yes Ramirez, and Brian and Helen Fung and Lisa Childress. And our newest members, total time as a member, Robert Wu, Bike, and James Johnson. Welcome back to membership. All right, so now we've done that. You guys ready for some COVID stats? Here are, Landline, when is the next Nerds for Humanity stream? We're going to do one the day after the election at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And it's going to be a panel discussion with me. Have you heard of Paget Kagi? Have you heard of Matt from the Zach and Matt show? Have you heard of Fred the Felon? Have you heard of Russell from Grassroots? Have you heard of Dennis from Trumper for Yang? All of them will be on this channel, on the same panel. I am trying to get a special guest that may make a cameo visit, but I don't know if that person will be able to come. That person may be busy, but I have extended the invitation. Okay, so now let's look at some COVID stats because, the dog is, I got to let the dog out. Hold on a second. Give me 1 minute. I'm going to let the dog out of the room, and then I'll be right back. Let me give you something to watch in the meantime. Hold on. Because I also have to go to the little boy's room. Hold on. Well, let's see. Whoops, not this one. Joe Biden. All right, you guys can watch this, which is a 1 minute, 20-second thing while I'm relieving the dog of her presence in this room, and I may make a quick trip for a bio break.
At some time, there has to be something called thinking. At some time, there has to be something called courage. You have it in your hands. Vote. Vote because you are not a coward. Vote because you know we need you. Vote because someone died for you to have a right to vote. We need you, brother, because you are a citizen. Vote like your grandmother would be proud of you. Close your eyes as she did. Dream of a future as your grandfather did. Vote for the future of your grandchildren. Vote for the best in you. Vote for the best in all of us. Vote.
All right. Perfect timing. Luckily, there is a bathroom about 20 feet from here. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's look at some COVID stats. Basically, I'll tell you this much. If we didn't have this COVID thing, Trump would probably get reelected. And it's because he did such a piss poor job with handling this COVID crisis that he's going to lose. So all you Trump supporters, I feel you. You're going to be pissed because you did have a strong economy and he did do things that really animated the country. Like, I think the country did like the trade war with China, and they did like that he didn't start any new military occupations. And they did like that he attacked that kind of like woke movement. But when you have a global pandemic and you don't take it serious and you act like a dick, the country doesn't really appreciate that. When there's 230,000 people dead and they feel like, wow, maybe it's not all Donald Trump's fault, but golly, that guy didn't do anything to try and stop it. Like, as an example, in the debates, he was asked about how his view on masks, and he said, no, I don't have any problem with masks. But then just like a few days ago, Laura Ingraham was wearing a mask at one of his rallies, and he said, oh, why are you wearing that mask? Are you being politically correct? That is not exactly public health kind of best practice. And I know he says now he's going to fire Fauci because he likes Atlas and everything. And I guess Birx is out too, and probably Redfield as well. But at some point, like, you have to, science isn't just hiring people that agree with you. Science is sometimes you got to honor the evidence and take a look at kind of like the best assessment from people who've been studying stuff for a long time. And that's not really Trump's style. But anyway, let's look at, well, why is this COVID thing still, or as Donald would say, COVID. Well, Donald, the reason why people keep talking about COVID is this chart, bro. October 30th, there were almost 100,000 new cases in one day. 100,000. Seriously, bro. Now, some people will say, oh, the Trump supporters, like the MAGA folks in my family, will be like, oh, why you keep looking at the number of cases? Like, you should look at the death rates. The death rates is, is not going up. Well, let's look at the death rate. Okay, this is a death rate. In the last 7 days, you've got close to 1,000 people dying every day if you average it out. I mean, shoot. Freaking October 21st, there were 1,200 people on that day that died of COVID. And now I know some people are saying, oh, that's not true because the doctors, they're getting paid to say that people are dying due to COVID. And there actually have been studies and analysis done of the excess death rate. So basically, you can look at historical trends and you can see how many people in the whole country would have anticipated should have died just due to all kinds of reasons people die. And then you look at the actual death rate and you would see that it's much higher. Now, you might be asking me like, well, Tom, you can't just talk about that stuff. This is the Nerds for Humanity channel. Show me the freaking chart. Okay, I got you. Hold on. Let me pull the damn chart up because you don't believe me. All right, here we go. Let's pull up this bad boy. U.S. coronavirus excess deaths. There we go. So here you can see the number of weekly deaths and the seasonal average in the first few months of the year due to the flu typically starts coming down as flu deaths decline. But look at this. This is the actual number of deaths in 2020. This dotted line is what you would have anticipated in seeing. This light shaded area is how many COVID deaths reported. And this is like extra deaths that we don't know why there are even more. So basically, it's probable that there are more than 230,000 people that died of COVID. It's probable that it could be, who knows, close to 300,000, because not all COVID deaths were reported as COVID, especially in the early days when we didn't have testing. So this idea that somehow like, we don't really have any problem with COVID. It's just a fake virus. This is bull. Now, some of you might be saying to yourself, well, like, how do we know that this isn't just like, it's a plague. Like, no one else, you can't blame Donald Trump for this. Like, he's not going to single-handedly come up with a vaccine. What you can do is you can look at how other countries are handling this, right? So let's take a look at comparing the number of positive, the ratio of positive test results to tests conducted. And the reason why we want to look at the positive test rate is because it is true that the US does test more than many, many other countries. But the act of testing more should not increase the positivity rate. If anything, it should probably come down or stabilize or regress to the mean of what the actual positivity rate is. So shall we look at the positivity rate, the percent of out of 100 tests, how many come back positive in America versus other countries, right? So let's take a look at that. See if I can pull up that chart. Here we go. All right. So the US positivity rate, number one, is going up, right? That chart, the bar chart, is going up, which is, how would I say? That is not rounding the corner. That is not turning the corner, rounding the bend. It is the opposite of rounding the corner. If we were rounding the corner, the ratio of people testing positive should be going down, not up. You don't want to live in a country where 6.9% of people are testing positive, and then a few weeks ago, 5% of people were testing positive, and a few weeks before that, 4% of people are testing positive. You want to live in a country where that rate is coming down. So this also reminds me, and I'll share this stat as well, where the University of Washington did some forecasting of if we had 95% mask wearing participation, we would actually avoid 100,000 more deaths before the end of the spring in this country alone. So this is where, if you're the president and you mock people for wearing masks and say, oh, what a big mask you had, or, oh, Laura Ingraham, wow, now you're politically correct, and you say this in front of all your adoring fans, that's not encouraging mask wearing. And that results in more spread. And that's why you can see here, we have a 6.9% positivity rate. But look at Canada. They have half the positivity rate. So think about that. Canada has 3.3%. We have 6.9. They basically have half the spread that we do. Now, we've lost 230,000 people, maybe more, but we know for sure we lost 230,000. That's 100,000 potential lives that we lost because we have twice as much infection rate as Canada. And the damn virus has only been with us for less than a year. So if you fast forward another year of this, I mean, do we really want another 100,000 people dying that didn't have to? So at any rate, that's the infection rate. Now, if you look at countries like in Asia, you look at, let's say, Japan, 3.1% infection rate. They didn't lock down. They didn't have to lock it. Look at South Korea, 1% infection rate, right? You basically could look at a lot of different, of course, even Russia has a lower infection rate than we do. So, but of course, South Korea and Taiwan. So I have a friend that is doing business in Taiwan. And here's the funny thing about Taiwan. They are not locked down. They are not locked down. I just had a video chat with another friend who was in a cafe indoors in Taiwan. So you don't have to lock down your whole country in order to keep this thing tamped down. But you do need to freaking have a national plan. You have to implement mitigations. And this whole argument that, oh, this America is very diverse, you can't apply the same mitigation strategy for New York City as you would in Iowa. They don't need that. They're rural. Really? You want to look at rural upper Midwest and you see how they don't require mitigation? All right, let's pull it up, man. Let's look at the freaking data, okay? Let's look at the data here. Let me show it to you. I mean, it's just like you were president of the United States and you couldn't just listen to the freaking CDC, listen to Fauci and Birx, and do the right thing, even if it makes you look bad. Okay, let's say Wisconsin. Wisconsin. Yeah, look at that. New cases. 5,000 cases on October 30th. And if you want to look at deaths, Wisconsin, 55 deaths on October 29th, 26 dead on October 30, 58 dead on Halloween. So this whole like, oh, we don't need to worry about this. This is not a big deal. Or let's say Iowa. Oh, Iowa, it's farmers. They can't get COVID. Let's look at, oh, no, they can. They can. 2,800 new cases in Iowa on Halloween. So basically, we as a country have the most resources of any other country, and our infection rates are way higher than most. Now, in fairness, we can't be pooping on the US record for COVID because other countries are also not doing a fantastic job. Like the Europeans, their infection rate's even worse. So they took it easy in the summer. I remember in the summer when I came back to the States and my friends in Switzerland were traveling and having summer vacations. I was like, what is going on? Like, and they're like, well, you know, things are fine over here. No, they let their foot off the gas and now they're in big trouble. So we are doing better from an infection rate point of view than Europe. And I think that's largely because at least many parts of America are applying coronavirus mitigations. The other thing is like, look at Sweden, 5.3%. Right next door, look at Norway, 1.6. So 5.6, this is the, we're not really going to implement much policy. And this is the, we live right next door, we will. And you see the difference in the infection rates. So a lot of people also talk about Sweden versus Finland, 5.3 versus 1.5. So I would rather be more like Norway and Finland than Sweden. But, you know, that's some comparative data on infection rates. Next, we're going to go to, what about the, you guys want to talk about vaccine? Want to hear about vaccine? Let's take a look at the vaccine, because the vaccine in the long run, I think that's where Republicans and Democrats would agree is kind of where we want to end up. And the question is, while you're waiting for the vaccine to first be developed, approved, and then distributed, and then adopted, how do you keep the number of deaths down? Do you want to take another 200,000 dead before that all happens? So, okay, here is the vaccine tracker. So I am not going to talk about preclinical, phase 1, phase 2. We're going to talk about phase 3. And as a reminder, phase 3 is when you are doing large-scale efficacy tests. Phase 2 is expanded trials, and then phase 1 is just like testing. Will this thing be basically safe, and what's the right dosage? Then you go, okay, I want to have a few more people on it, and then you do phase 3, which is I want to do a lot of people on it, and then you can get something approved for very early use, and then finally approved for full use. This is where we want to end up. But let's look at phase 3 and limited. So phase 3, you've got Moderna. And what do we know? They've been working on it since January. They've gotten $1 billion in government support in partnership with NIH. It does protect monkeys, so that's good. And phase 3 started on July 27th So basically August. So August, September, October. So we have 3 months of phase 3. They have 30,000 participants in the study. They need to wait until some volunteers get sick to see how many of them were vaccinated. So there's some time. And the U.S. government has already pre-purchased 100 million doses. Then you've got Pfizer, basically the German company BioNTech in collaboration with Pfizer and Chinese drug maker Fosun. Now this requires 2 doses. What about the Moderna one? Might be 1 dose. Doesn't say. Probably 1 dose. Anyway, this one has 2 doses. This one, they found it does cause volunteers to produce antibodies. Fewer side effects. So they chose to move it to phase 2-3. Launch of phase 2-3. 30,000 volunteers on July 27th. So around the same time as Moderna. Now they're expanding it on September 12th to 43,000. So that's encouraging. And started testing on children. Okay. Huh. This is the one that Trump said would be ready before the election. But I'm pretty sure that that's not going to happen because we haven't heard anything about it. But this won't be the first time that Trump has promised things that don't occur. Remember his healthcare plan that would be better than Obamacare and cheaper? Or do you remember his, he would eliminate the national debt in 2 terms? Yeah, that didn't happen either. Okay, then you've got CanSino Bio. July phase 2 results. Chinese military approved vaccine on June 25th. Phase 3 trials in Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Russia. Okay. And then you have a Russian Ministry of Health vaccine approved for early use in Russia. So they think they already have it. So, you know, there's stuff. And then Johnson & Johnson. So there's stuff in the works, guys. Now, here's what I will tell you. Oh, Patrick Dunn with the super chat. Love it. I'm going to give you the Swiss bell. Whoa, why isn't that ringing? There we go. and the gong. The gong of data. Yeah, that would go really well in the Senate. Appreciate you you asking in jest, Patrick. I think I'm going to keep going with the Nerds for Humanity content creation for now, helping out candidates run. Maybe someday when the kids are out of the house, I can get more involved in public service, because I would like to be helpful, but I feel like this channel is helpful to a lot of people. So, but thanks, Patrick. Really appreciate it. That money will go towards growing the channel's audience so we can help people who are running right now. Okay, so I was talking about the vaccine. So here's the deal. And if you didn't see my interview with Eric Ding, the PhD epidemiologist from Johns Hopkins undergrad, Harvard PhD, he puts it well, which is like, in order for you to achieve true herd immunity, like people talk about herd immunity like it's either a godsend or it's a terrible thing. There's a way to get to herd immunity through mass immunization, which can be very good. And then there's another way to get to herd immunity, which is just be like, F it, open up the country, let another couple 100,000 people die. That would be the Trump approach, the Trump COVID plan. But if you wanted to go with the vaccine approach, the math for the vaccine-driven herd immunity is that so far, I think the early studies are showing that these vaccines might be like 50% effective, which is similar to like the flu vaccine. You know, flu vaccine, you get the vaccine, but you may still get the flu. So, and there's these different strains of COVID, as far as I understand. And so, in order to have herd immunity, you need like 70% of the whole country to have antibodies that can defeat the virus so that the virus can't jump across to the 30% who don't have any immunity. And then if the virus jumps to someone who does have immunity, then it doesn't travel, but also the person who comes in contact with that virus can defeat it through his immune system. Okay, why am I saying this? Well, here's the math. If the vaccine's only 50% effective and you need to get to 70%, you have to convince yourself that 100% of the country will get this vaccine into their body. And that will get you to 50% with antibodies. And then you need another 20%. Now, the good news is many people think that we already are at 15% that naturally have contracted the virus and have developed antibodies naturally. So that will get you to 65%. So you still need some more people, unfortunately, to contract it naturally. Or you have to hope that these vaccines are a little more effective than they typically are against viruses like this. But here's the thing. That assumes 100% of people are going to get the vaccine. But a lot of people are not super confident that the Trump administration is playing by the book with the vaccine testing. Then you have another population of people who have been anti-vaccine from the very beginning. And then you just have human nature, which is like, well, maybe I don't want to be the first person to get the vaccine. So let's say, what if only half of the people got the vaccine? Well, now you're only at 25% with vaccine-driven antibodies because half would be 50%, but the vaccine itself may only be 50% effective. So you're at 25%. Then you have the 15% who got it naturally. So now you're at 40%. But you're not at 70. So you're not going to get to herd immunity. Then more than half the country is going to be contracting it and potentially not only dying at the current mortality rate, but the other thing is, if you want to look at the Nerds for Humanity catalog, I also interviewed another doctor about some of the long-term side effects of COVID. And basically her argument, and she was a pulmonologist, also Johns Hopkins Medical School. And she's a pulmonologist in Northern Virginia. And her name was, hold on, let me look it up. So I make sure I get you the right information. Dr. Sukar from Northern Virginia, certified ICU doctor as well. And she was telling me about how a lot of her former patients who recovered now have long-term issues with breathing, mental acuity, ability to run. Some people had like amputations. So this whole idea that like, oh, it's fine. Like Trump says, I had it. It's no problem. Well, number one, Trump had daily testing. Who here gets daily testing? Number two, he had the White House medical group, which is like a little mini hospital in the White House. Number three, he got medevaced on Marine One to Walter Reed and had basically a whole wing to himself and had like a couple dozen doctors around the clock. He had access to Regeneron, which is an experimental drug that most of us don't have access to. And then he got access to remdesivir, which I think is a few $1,000s per treatment. So the whole "trust me, I got it, I'm fine, you're going to be fine too" argument, like that doesn't really pencil out for most people. And that's the sad thing. Like his, if you look at these Trump rallies, I mean, his supporters, I don't think they realize that they're basically putting themselves at risk by electing a president who is going to try and get herd immunity by infecting everyone. Like that is just not the way to do it. Secondly, if you look at these Trump rallies, there was a study done by Stanford, and it showed that basically I think for every Trump rally, about 30 people will eventually die who didn't need to die because of basically these rallies are super spreaders. So it's not that 30 people at the rally are going to die, but they will spread it to other people who then will contract the virus, have either comorbidities or suffer and die themselves. And so that's just something to think about with this this COVID stuff. And if you watch these videos and look at these pictures of these Trump rallies, there are some people behind him who wear the masks, but if you look at in the crowd itself, there's not a lot of mask wearing. Obviously, we know that Trump kind of ridicules people at his rallies for wearing masks, calling them trying to be politically correct. But the other thing is that he really, how should I say, by dismissing it and saying, oh, we need to reopen, wearing masks is politically correct, he's just signing us up for a really hard 2021. So that's what I'll say about those Trump rallies. I mean, you could see here. Let me just show you. I mean, these people are not. They don't seem to be exercising CDC recommended social distancing. There's not a lot of masking. There's not a lot of social distancing. This is just this is the way the president wants people to act, and he's encouraging it. And what I will tell you is this: if Trump really cared, what he would do at the rallies is say, hey, please put on a mask. Thank you for coming out. Please put on a mask and please keep 6 feet apart. Like, if you can do that at Home Depot, why the hell can't you do that at a freaking Trump rally? I don't get that. I don't get why he does that. I mean, I get that he does it because he doesn't want to look bad and he doesn't want it to feel like he's effed up the response to this virus, but he has. Last thing I'm going to share is a video I saw of some really kind of like disturbing behavior by some Trump supporters. And I think it goes to this notion of how can we avoid this kind of division, and how do we bring this country together? Like there's a famous question from Reagan, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Let me ask you a different question. Do you feel like this country is more unified today than 4 years ago? I think the answer is obviously no. And the question is why? Well, we just looked at Trump's Twitter feed. I mean, he basically paints the other side, the Democrat side, as being flag burning communists who want to take your guns, who hate your religion and hate America. He tries to kind of sow this discord, this division. He tries to demonize half of the country. Now he is president of the entire country. He is not president of the red states. So when he talks about the blue states, like they're a bunch of arsonists, like 150 million arsonists who hate America, well, it's not surprising that some of his followers really, they get stirred up by that stuff. Let me show you a video. I'll say this up front. The video does not represent all Trump supporters. But at the same time, at least the people in the video are Trump supporters. And they are kind of acting in a way that's kind of disturbing. Okay, so here we go.
They're crazy. This car's acting like they're gonna rear end you. But
Give me that shit. Yeah.
this is assault, you dumb motherfucker!
They're in the back. They're blocking me in. That's fine. They're blocking me in. The Patriots followed me. This is their true colors. I want everyone to know they came. This is a hate crime. They're coming up to my car right now.
Get out of the car! Get out of the car! Get out of the car!
I'm not scared. If I was scared, I would have left. I need everyone to see this. That's why I'm chilling right here. For what? You called me what? I got Queen herself. Oh my god, what the hell? Ew. You came strapped up like that for a 20-year-old female? Oh, you a big man. For a female, bro. For a female. He walked up to us. Come get it? Are you saying come get it for a female? Hey! What?
Hey, she's a female? Right here.
No, so you guys can jump me? So you can jump me?
Put your phone down. Put your phone down, baby girl.
It's a toast for me.
Hey, it's your fucking face for me, bitch. Do something. Do something. Motherfucker.
My phone.
Do something. Fucking stop your fucking phone right out of your fucking hand, bitch.
Back up.
Like, bitch. I'll stick that fucking goddamn camera for you. Fuck you, stupid bitch. You fucking scared, stupid whore. Why don't you go get a fucking education?
Get an education.
She wants to get her. Get her now. Get her. Now you fucking like it, you stupid cunt-face whore.
Hey, Biden 2020. Tried grabbing my phone. She really tried grabbing my phone. She reached in my car. Them leave. They just.
All right, that goes on. Basically, the
Right? That's
Trump supporters
had it on video.
surrounding this woman. Obviously, we don't know what led to that altercation. Let's just assume that the person shooting the video, I would have to imagine it's possible that that person antagonized that group. But that group was not showing a ton of grace. And we also know about the Trump train surrounding the Biden bus. Like, what the heck were they doing? Why were they surrounding the Biden bus? So let's take a look at that. Trump train, Biden bus. All right, here we go. Where's the video? There it is. Now, this is a video that I'm going to show you of basically a bunch of Trump supporting trucks. They basically bring the Biden Biden bus to almost to 35 miles an hour in a highway. So these are all, I think the pickup trucks are Trump supporters. And then they kind of surround the bus and then start slowing down to a point where staffers had to call 911 because they were concerned. And they actually had to cancel their event because they were worried about what the Trump train would have done at the event itself. So basically, then the police came and had to provide an escort for the bus. So look, I'm not saying all Trump supporters are like that, but I'm just saying this country, I don't feel it's been this divided ever in my life. And I've been around for what? Oh my God. I won't even tell you, but it's well over 40 years, closer to 50. Born and raised in New Jersey. I've seen a lot. I've seen Reagan. I've seen Bill Clinton. I've seen the first Bush, the second Bush, Obama. People said, oh, Obama made it more divisive. Like, it wasn't like this. It wasn't like this. So at any rate, please, if you haven't, please vote and participate in the process and join me the day after Election Day for the let me show you guys. Let me show you while we're all together. Check out this thumbnail for our all-star panel. Where the hell is the damn profile? Here we go. Oh yeah. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this beautiful group we got going on here. So the day after the election, so Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, you've got Fred, Matt, Dennis, Paget, Russell. And then on Sunday, I have another panel with Read My Lips, Josh from NPV, Real Publican, Mindful Skeptics on Sunday. So yeah, we've got a great crew coming up, and I'm really excited to kind of have that group discussion. And part of the reason is not just to talk about, oh, did Trump win or did Biden win? But I'm also interested in having a conversation about, well, what's the future of the Yang Gang panel? Not panel, the future of the Yang Gang. Like, do we start Yang 2024 now? Are we still divided? As an example, this panel caused a little bit of a stir because a lot of people were saying, why do you have Trumper for Yang on there? He's supporting Trump all the time. And I'm like, well, look, number one, this is a channel about discussing real issues in an intellectually honest but respectful way. And so, yeah, Trumper for Yang supports Trump, and Paget supported the Dark Horse duo. And Fred, he doesn't like either candidate, but he voted for Biden. And I love the idea of voting Trump out, and I strongly support Biden, and I'm even more excited about the Biden team. None of us, and I'm pretty sure Matt didn't vote for Biden or Trump. I'm not sure who he voted for. So like, this panel is not meant to say there's one monolithic Yang Gang political kind of decision-making process. We're all diverse. We all have different perspectives, but I thought it'd be fun to have them on there. So at any rate, tune in on Wednesday, and then on Sunday, we'll have our second panel with another group of Yang Gang content creators. And then we also, before I forget, please go to, I'm going to put this in the link in the chat, tinyurl.com/Yang Cabinet. Is that it? Let me check to make sure that link sure works. Because I have our petition. Yep. Put that in the chat. And I'll show you. It's change.org. We're trying to get to 2,000. We have 1,000, looks like 600 and okay, about 1,700 signed. So we need about 300 more to get to 2,000. And we're trying to get Biden's transition team to take Yang super serious and offer him a very senior cabinet role. Some of the FAQs about this are, well, I hate Biden. Okay, fine. But if Biden offers Yang a senior cabinet role, that's option value for Yang. He doesn't have to accept it, by the way. Just offer him the role and trust that Yang will make the right call and do what he thinks is best for the country. The second thing is like, Yang is already in the cabinet. No, he's not. Yang is helping out with the Biden campaign. He is definitely not in the Biden administration officially. No one is. Like, they won't announce the cabinet picks probably till December. Number 3 is like, well, why are you talking about this now? Like, we haven't even won the election yet. Well, because the transition team's already been formed since April, and they're already putting out their shortlists. And then the next question is like, oh, well, who cares about change.org? Nobody cares about petitions. Well, you know what? There is one group that does care about petitions, which is politicians who are eager to build a coalition to govern and who don't want to create a lot of drama. And remember how the Yang Gang was effective at getting Yang to speak at the Democratic National Convention because we made a bunch of noise. Well, we want to make noise now again to make sure that that Yang gets considered. So when you have a chance, go to tinyurl.com/Yang Cabinet. And I'll put that here so you can sign. And with that, I think I'm going to wrap up unless there are any questions or topics you guys wanted me to hit. But I know we've been together for darn near 2 hours. So I appreciate everybody hanging in there who's been with me in the stream. And I will see you guys for sure on Wednesday. Will I do a stream tomorrow? Probably. I probably won't be able to help it, but I'm certainly not going to do it until maybe late. So it might be like 9 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. And we'll do a quick stream just to talk about the state of the vote counting. And hopefully by then, if Florida and Pennsylvania go Biden, it will be really hard. Oh, shoot. I forgot I was supposed to go through our predictions. Let me do a quick one of the predictions. Hold on. Twitter search. Hold on. Nerdstradamus predictions. This is going to be me keeping it real. I'm telling you what I predicted. And if I get it wrong, then you know never to trust me again. But if I get some right, then you'll be like, well, that mofo, he ain't that bad. You know? All right, let's take a look at some of the predictions. Share. Chrome tab. Here we go. Okay. So we'll go in alphabetical or sort of chronological reverse chron. Okay. I think there will be a Biden landslide. I said that on October 14th. God, I must have been more optimistic than now. October 4th, I said there will be even more closet Biden voters than there are closet Trump voters. So you know how a lot of people said, oh, 2016 was because you had all these Trump supporters who said they were undecided, that didn't want to admit that they were voting for Trump. I think 2020 will be the year where a lot of Trump supporters flip to Biden. Maybe like a lot of, I think the demographic is suburban white females who are married to Trump supporting men. A lot of those females are like, no, I was fine giving this Donald guy a chance, but bro's crazy, acts like, I teach my kids not to act like that. Why would I vote for him again? So that's a prediction. Nurch Thomas getting his ass kicked. Oh, yeah. I actually made the incorrect prediction in late September. I think in late September, I said, oh, if Trump gets the virus, he will not ever go to a hospital because he won't want to look weak. And then, of course, he did get medevac to Walter Reed. So I thought he would have just resisted that because he wouldn't want to look like he was sick. But no. So Nurch Thomas was wrong on that one. Because, yeah, here was me saying, hey, look, if he requires hospitalization, he'll turn the residence into an ICU and have McEnany tell us that he's resting. But, in fact, he did have to go to the hospital. Number 3. This was a correct prediction for the debate where I said that he was going to have a one-liner about Trump always running off to his golf course during crises, which I think he did talk about. And then I made a bunch of debate predictions. We won't go into those because it's done already. Trump talking about Hunter Biden, Ukraine, and China. I predicted that in September 29th. That's not a hard prediction. Pretty obvious that he was going to go there. I predicted that he was going to nominate a Latina Supreme Court Justice Lagoa from Florida to lock up the Hispanic vote, or specifically the Cuban vote in Florida. Now, you could argue maybe in hindsight, had Trump nominated Barbara Lagoa, who is a Hispanic, conservative, pro-life Floridian woman, he would have may have done a little better with the Hispanic turnout for him in Florida, but anyway, so sorry I got that one wrong. Nostradamus is not doing that good so far. Let's see. Whoops. Let's go back. Oh, I did predict that Barr would not be impeached back in September 22nd. A lot of people were asking about that. I predicted on September 21st that Bitcoin will surpass 12,000. Let's see, what is Bitcoin right now? Bitcoin value. Oh, it's 13,600. So Nostradamus was right on that one. In fact, when I made this prediction on September 21, Bitcoin was around September 21. Hold on. Looks like it was around 11,000. Yeah, around 10,500. And I predicted that it would exceed 12,000, and that came right. Here is my electoral college prediction. Woo! 335. So basically, I am really putting myself out there saying it's going to, because remember, the gamblers are giving him 290. So I'm predicting a much higher Biden landslide from an electoral college point of view. So remember that. You heard it here first. Biden 335. I also predicted that in September, I predicted that there will not be another stimulus check. However, I did say a bill might be passed, and I was wrong there. There was no. It's funny. Nobody's talking about stimulus. It's like there's more talk about Antifa and BLM kind of trying to take away the nuclear family or something than stimulus. So at any rate, I think the big prediction is 335. Nerds for Yang, sorry, Nerds for Humanity predicted 335, and this was back in September. So hopefully my predictions will come true, but I will sign off for now. And thank you all for joining me in the Nerd Zone for 2 hours, damn near 2 hours of data. With that, we're going to say goodbye, nerds. And don't forget to vote if you haven't. And there's no such thing as a safe state in a constitutional crisis. Trump has already said he's going to challenge Pennsylvania results in the courts. So we need a very clear popular vote, a very clear signal. We'll see you tomorrow. And then we'll see you at the big All-Star Yang Gang creator panel on Wednesday. Goodbye, nerds!